In this video, I want to talk about the top 4 secrets on how to map out your business processes to truly uncover bottlenecks for your business. Oh, and make sure you stick around to the end because I want to share with you a super powerful framework for evaluating and eliminating bottlenecks for good. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Emmanuel. I am the founder, kind of chief talking head guy here over at Square One Group, where really our mission is simple. It is to help founders and solopreneurs grow and scale their business using systems. And we got the saying around here. It is, and quick shout out to Ryan Dice, who I actually heard this from initially first. When the founder is the most valuable piece of a business, the business itself has no value. Now, having said that, the goal here is very simple. We need to remove you as the bottleneck, because when you are the most valuable piece, everything has to run through you. And that's not the effective way of actually creating and growing a business that is actually one where you are not the employee of. And so all of the main kind of secrets that I'm going to be going through with you today is to help really just remove you as the bottleneck. Okay, so let's start off with secret number 1, and that is just really uncovering where you are stuck. Quick story. A private client of mine that we've been working with for a couple of months now always complained that he did not have enough time. Now, just for context, he is a really great video editor. That's really what his business is all about. He helps, create marketing and social media content and videos for his clients, but he would always show up to any one of our calls when the topic is like really trying to grow and increase sales for his business. The excuse was, hey, I'm just too busy. I'm always editing video. Well, therein lies the problem. See, most solopreneurs may not realize it, but they are doing tasks like, for example, maybe client communication or invoicing or just basic fulfillment that actually should not be part of their zone of responsibility. And when they end up doing that work, all that ends up happening is they just do comfortable work. It's not actually work that's going to grow the business or move it forward. They're just doing the busy work that they feel comfortable doing because they feel that that's actually going to improve their circumstance, when in reality, all that's happening is they're just sabotaging themselves. Now, in this particular case, this client of mine, I called him out on it. I said, hey, open up your calendar. I want to see what you're focused on. And so we got on a Zoom, he opened up his calendar, and lo and behold, guess what I saw? A blank calendar. He had a blank calendar. So it is extremely clear what he prioritized or didn't prioritize. He didn't value his time. That's just the fact of the matter. So here are a couple little tweaks or tips to really help you with the bottleneck of really understanding like where your time is going. Number 1, it is to actually plan out your week. Now, there's this really great parable about this teacher that presents his students with a glass jar and rocks, pebbles, and sand. And the goal is that you want to put the rocks in and then the pebbles in and the sand in so that it stays within the top of the jar. And so he had some students come in, the first set of students, and what they did first was they put in the sand, and they put in the pebbles, and they put in the rocks. And it didn't actually stay on the top of the jar, it overflowed the jar. And that's not actually what you do. Instead, what you're supposed to do is you put in the rocks first, you shake up the jar, then you put in the pebbles, you shake up the jar some more, then you put in the sand, and hey, guess what? Magically, everything fits. And we have to be looking and aligning our week in this exact same methodology. All of the main things that are really designed to push our business forward. That means the sales pieces, the marketing pieces, those are our rocks because those all produce revenue for the business. So we essentially have to block off time on the calendar to make room for those big things because those are the things that are going to move the needle forward in terms of revenue for our business. The pebbles, well, maybe they can be conducive of other things within the business. The sand, they're all just completely shiny objects. But the point of this here is that we have to proactively time block. So one of the strategies that I do all the time, and the strategy I essentially told him was, hey, Friday is the last work day of your week. On Friday, what I'd love for you to do is open up your calendar for next week and start blocking off time for when you're going to be working on your marketing, working on your sales, working on editing videos. And you'll find that when you start doing this, you end up feeling a lot more accomplished, being a heck of a lot more proactive, just in general, getting a lot more stuff done. All right, secret number 2, you're bringing on clients, but they're not sticking around, nor are they growing. So this is actually reminding me of another private client we're working with. Really great couple of guys. They actually have this website and they service MP3s. It's an MP3 record pool specifically for DJs. But anyway, long story short, they were getting people signing up into, to their subscription or their SaaS service. And people were leaving after 1 month. Like what they were doing is they would, like, people or other DJs would log into their website, they would sign up and download a boatload of music and then just unsubscribe a few days later. And that really became a cash flow problem for them, because essentially what was happening was there was no consistent cash flow, and they couldn't have predictable, or they couldn't make predictable revenue month over month, because they were just being victimized by people that weren't actually sticking around. So there's a lot of value drop off in terms of, how their business was functioning. So the quick fix to this is actually taking the time to identify what the actual sign-up process looks like. My recommendation to them, and the way that I approach this, because we had this exact same problem, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit as well, is that if you want to mitigate the churn or people, unsubscribing or leaving your service, you have to address it very early on. And when I'm talking about early on, it's essentially the onboarding process. When you don't have an onboarding process, or at least a solid one that's intentionally mapped out, you're going to lose clients. You're gonna lose customers. So the fix here was real quick. At least in their world, they actually applied an onboarding process. They didn't have one before, but they actually created one. And in this onboarding process, they, showed up, they got some FaceTime with the actual subscribers of their service. Because the reality is, if they can put a face and actually have an interaction with someone that's actually running the machine, they're going to be more inclined to stay, because there's a relationship that's starting to develop. So they actually get themselves in front of their ideal customers or their clients. And then from there, they create a journey, a pathway of where they want them to be after a certain amount of time. Now, there's a term that tossed around quite a bit, but like to use it in the context of this conversation, which is TTFW. It stands for time till first win. Now, every company has a different TTFW, but a TTFW is no more than really understanding, like, how long does it take from this person signing up to work with you till you get them to a point of gratification. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to make money from you, but it has to be a point where they actually, receive that some form of ROI from, deciding to work with you. Now, in this particular case, they mapped out what that's supposed to look like, and just that simple tweak of adding an onboarding and creating the pathway to the TTFW, they were actually able to increase retention and mitigate a lot of the churn that they were having months and months before. All right, the next secret is all about overload versus understaffed or under-resourced. So another really great private client of mine has a web design business, but also a print business. And he was doing this solo. He was completely burnt out. He was handling everything from the design, the sales, the constant engagement with the clients, constantly working late nights, so really struggling to meet deadlines. In fact, he was already turning away business because he couldn't manage the business that was already coming in. He had a great business. He was getting a ton of referrals, but the reality is he wasn't able to sign them because he was just maxed out. He was at capacity. He was burnt out. So the fix to this is actually simple. It is to create what I like to call a BOSS for the business. BOSS stands for Business Operating System. And the purpose of a business operating system is that we need a hub for the business to actually run through that is not ourselves. I said earlier, when we're the most valuable part of the business, the business has no value. So the idea here is that we need to create a BOSS for the business that has everything running through it. Now, the way that I do it around here, the way that we recommended for him to do it is we set up a couple playbooks inside of a cool little application, a project management tool called Asana. Now, in Asana, we essentially created playbooks for marketing, for sales, for fulfillment, for retention, for accounting, HR, and leadership. And inside of each one of these playbooks, we would create a series of tasks. They would fall into two categories. Category number one is what we call a whirlwind task. And a whirlwind task is no more than a task that repeats every single day, week, month, or year, or a one-off task. And a one-off task, obviously, it just doesn't repeat. And the goal here is that we have to outline all of the tasks that happen throughout the day and throughout the week or throughout the month for this private client of ours. And essentially, that's what he did. He jotted everything down. And inside of each one of these tasks, he created the recurring event. But in addition to that, he also did something super powerful. He recorded himself executing the exact task for the event. Now, it may seem like a lot of work now, but hear me out. There's a methodology behind this madness. Once all of the procedures are recorded, and we use the cool application called Loom to do this. But once all of these procedures are recorded, the next step to really remove him as the bottleneck and to really mitigate the burnout was we actually helped him hire. It really didn't start off having to hire a full-time salaried executive assistant to take over the business, but no more than hiring a VA from the Philippines. And we started assigning some of these tasks, the ownership of some of these tasks to that VA. And then what ended up happening was something magical. It not only removed him as the bottleneck of the business, he was able to actually take on more capacity in terms of client load, but he realized oh, this is actually working. So instead of hiring one VA and kind of just letting this one VA take the business and run with it, he started actually building out a team of VAs, and this immediately removed him as the bottleneck and really allowed him to just grow and scale more. He found the value in figuring out how to hire without actually having to spend a ton of money. By the way, if you have found any of these tips helpful so far, I really appreciate it if you could click that like button, subscribe button, bell icon, all that good stuff. Thank you so much in advance. All right, the last little secret I want to mention to you is feedback from clients, because inevitably, if you're not getting feedback, they're not getting to their TTFW fast enough. And when clients and customers experience delays, they don't stick around. And I bring this up because this is actually a problem that I had, where we weren't getting results fast enough. So what happened is we would bring on clients, they would go through their onboarding process, they'd be really, really excited. And then, 2-3 months down the road, they just completely drop off. They ghost us. And this is super painful because, I've invested a ton of time and effort in really trying to see our clients, level up and grow. But to see them fall off completely, it sucks. Because, we get ghosted and no one likes being ghosted. And so the bottom line here is the problem really stemmed from bottlenecks that we had internally. Because our customers, our clients, they want to hear from us on a regular basis. They want us to hold them accountable. But the fact of the matter is, internally, we didn't have any systems or structures set up for this. So what would happen is after the onboarding process, we'd say, hey, let's meet weekly. They would start showing up and then completely fall off. And then we'd never hear from them again. And so the quick tweak or fix to this was to actually create better systems to check in with them on a more regular basis. But more importantly, in this check-in, it is to have them recommit to not only you, but the main goal, the reason why they're working with you in the first place. So I should also add, it does make a good bit of sense to jot down the exact reason why they decided to work with you in the first place, because you can always leverage that information when you're checking with them regularly to get them to recommit. And then once you've figured out what this process looks like, then removing you as the bottleneck is no more than just creating the SOP or creating the task or the Loom video, and then assigning it to a team member that would potentially be taking care of client success for you. And then through that process, they'll be doing regular check-ins for you. You'll understand what the bottlenecks are and you'll get them to recommit, and you'll get people to stay a heck of a lot longer. By the way, if you feel that you are stuck, you are the bottleneck of the business and you're looking for some assistance, for some help, then hey, I'm more than happy to lend a helping hand. Under this video, there is a link to a quick 10-minute brainstorm session. Please feel free to block off some time. If you have some time, love to just have a conversation and strategize with you. See if we can unlock any bottlenecks that you may be encountering. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that there is a framework that is the Bottleneck Eliminator. And I'm happy to share it with you now. I actually got this from a really great book by Dan Kennedy called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And it is no more than really and truly understanding the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of what you are doing now are things that you should not be doing. There's only 20% of what you are doing that you should really be focused on. And those are really the revenue drivers of the business. The other 80% are things that you can delegate out. So how do you identify the 80%? It's easy. I've been doing this ruthlessly, and that is to start time blocking and managing my time and actually logging my time. So there's this really great application. It's called Toggle. Look, I make nothing from Toggle. That's not a sponsor of the video, but I just want to speak on it because it's an incredibly powerful tool. What I'll typically do is I will just categorize my entire day or week into 4 main categories. Category number 1 is work. Number 2, it's family and friends. Number 3, it's self-care. And then number 4, it's what I like to call time vampires. It's like scrolling through social media or maybe just going down rabbit holes on YouTube. But I digress. These are 4 categories. And the plan and playbook is that every single day at the end of the day, I will no more than just look at my calendar and identify what I worked on and then start jotting it down into Toggle. Or if I remember, like in real time, I'll also time block on the Toggle app. But I say this because at the end of the week, what I typically like to do is I like to look at the reports. And in the reports, I'm actually able to visually see where I'm spending the bulk of my time on. Now, when I'm talking about the 80-20 rule, the bottom line here is that your business will only grow as far, in terms of revenue level, it will only grow as far as your bottleneck, as far as the constraint. And then essentially what's going to happen is you're going to have to delegate out the constraint so that you can grow to the next level. And when you're able to visually look at what you're spending your time on, you can now understand that these are the things, like maybe it's sales calls or maybe it's client meetings, that you can hire some help, delegate it out, and then from there start working on the next tier of things to really help grow your revenue, grow your income. And my rule of thumb with this, it's real simple. I will look at what I'm working on at the end of the quarter. And once I identify what my big bottlenecks are, I will use the next quarter to try my darndest to remove that particular or those particular tasks as the bottlenecks for me and my business, so that by the end of the quarter, I will clearly see what the new bottlenecks are for my business, and I've effectively delegated a lot of the things that I shouldn't be doing out to other programs, persons, or processes. This is a super powerful strategy, and you'll actually find that you're going to be able to grow and scale your business a lot faster when you start implementing this very, very simple framework.